We are going to do something. Yes, we are going to pass legislation. The 7th of March 2023, the Prime Minister stood up and said, we're going to put forward the Illegal Migration Bill, which in July of that year became the Illegal Migration Act. And after that, if you come into this country, you will be detained, you will be deported, you will not be able to stay. It all sounded very tough and very strong. And Suella Braverman was the Home Secretary. Her job was to pilot this through Parliament. But sometimes tough talk and legislation can lead to an outcome quite unlike that was planned at the beginning, because it would seem that those that came between the 7th of March 2023 and the passing of the legislation on the 20th of July, something like 22,000 people came, 11,000 of them across the English Channel, another 11,000 with poor documentation or with reasons that they shouldn't really have been coming into the country. And it turns out that they are now stuck in some sort of legal limbo land, costing us £1.5 million a year. They can't really apply for asylum. We can't really get rid of them. It seems we're in a bit of a legal mess. At least Richard Bartram, senior immigration solicitor, I think that's the position.
Well, it is, to a degree, that the whole Rwanda thing was a little bit of a distraction. That was all about your asylum case is going to be processed in Rwanda. What this is about is that your asylum case won't be processed at all and you will be removed. But you only have to go 3 sections in to see that, because it's on the first page. So how that's going to work in practice, we don't know yet, because Section 3, we can change the dates, any of those dates at any time, right, by statutory instruments. The Home Office are in a bit of a bind because they're waiting for, I suppose, the political will to start deeming cases inadmissible, and that's where the bun fight starts between the judges, the lawyers, the Home Office, the politicians. But the Legal Migration Act, the purpose is to deter illegal migration, yes, but it also goes on to the whole point being to provide the safe and legal routes. Now, in the Act, and it's actually in the Act, the Secretary of State must, not should, could, would, must publish the legal routes, access to the legal routes, etc. So at the same time as people who have come over on small boats have their claims deemed inadmissible or removed, one should expect, if all the provisions of the Act are implemented equally, well, that provision is implemented, it's law as it is, we may expect, I don't know, the kind of Afghan Windrush flight sailing out of Karachi with 5,000 asylum seekers on it. Well, they won't be. There'll be asylum grants, presumably by UK Border Force in Pakistan. Yeah. But we don't know anything about that. But the two go in hand. They're the yin and the yang here. So where we end up, well, for the moment, the Home Office are, we have the tactical surge team throwing out decisions left, right and centre to bring that backlog down. And then there's always wiggle room in legislation, special circumstances.
But was this do you think this was rushed legislation that wasn't very well thought through?
I certainly don't think it came out of the Home Office. And with respect to the Home Office, I do have some respect for their senior caseworkers and presenting officers.
I thought it was not fit for purpose.
They can only work with the tools given to them. And this is the tool that they've been given. So even with this tool, the Illegal Migration Act, the guidance actually takes a step back and looks at reasonable excuses for not claiming asylum in a third country. That's before we even get to the ins and outs of decades of legislation, literally decades of legislation on, say, third countries. So there are some good things in here, some things that I might personally disagree with. The creation of safe and legal routes has never been done, never been tried. It's actually extraordinary. And if it works, it's an absolute game changer.
Would it reduce numbers or increase numbers?
Well, it would put us in control of numbers.
Yeah.
Because there's that provision as well. And it would allow us to target the places where, the near borders where refugees are coming from, rather than who's got the money to pay $10,000 to a trafficker to bring them over. I have to say,
I'm sceptical that numbers would come down, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? As it is. The other fascination with this piece of legislation is there was a Home Affairs Committee meeting 2-3 weeks ago. James Cleverly was there. and a couple of senior civil servants were with him. Rycroft, very, very senior, was with him. And the question was asked by Tim Loughton, Tory MP for Worthing. He said, what has happened to all the people who've come since the passing of the Illegal Migration Act? Namely, what has happened to all those that have crossed the Channel since July the 20th? And Rycroft admitted that nearly all of them are claiming asylum. It's as if we've passed a piece of legislation, but nothing's changed.
Well, he's correct. At the end of the day, I suppose it's going to be a political decision as much as a legal decision when to push the button on this.
Yes.
And
political will, which you mentioned earlier on.
And when push comes, I'm going to use this when push comes to shove, but do we have the ferries? No, to remove people. Do we have the planes? No. And the reality is that the human traffickers already own all the dinghies. So where are we going with that?
But with political will, we could, you never know, just about move mountains. Richard Bartram, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.